Not necessarily a surprise. This has been in the rumor mill for a very long time, although the timing must speak to something really critical here within the Trump administration. What do you see playing out?
Well, I mean, first of all, I do agree with you about the timing, since Secretary Tillerson was right in the middle of a trip to Africa and pleaded some kind of illness when he was in Kenya. But now looking back, maybe it was because he wanted to cut the trip short and come back here. So there's that part. The way I see it is it's a good thing that the president have a Secretary of State with whom he feels to be on the same wavelength. That's extremely important. The president's got to be comfortable with his team. So I look to Mr. Pompeo to be a very energetic, bright, and loyal team player.
What do you make of the notion that Tillerson was never comfortable within this environment? And to your point, I think perhaps because he was the CEO of the world's largest corporation, or one of the most powerful corporations, never really took the kind of subordinate role. It's one thing to voice your opinion, but at some point, I think cabinet members certainly have to get on board with the president, don't they?
Yeah, and I think he got into a number of spats with the White House staff about personnel choices and this and that kind of thing. The other comment I would make about the secretary, who's obviously a very fine man, is that he got a little bit down in the weeds about State Department organization and reorganization. And that's really not the essence of diplomacy. You got to lead a team that engages with the rest of the world, and that, when you're Secretary of State, really has got to be your focus. You can't worry about whether spouses of Foreign Service employees are allowed to work at embassies or not and stuff like that. That's for somebody else to do.
Yeah, certainly much has already been said about the esprit de corps, or lack thereof, at the State Department, and also maybe this move getting more, better, the purse strings loosened up here a little bit because of the friction that existed between Tillerson and the rest of the administration.
That's right. And Henry Kissinger, who initially, when he became National Security Advisor and then Secretary of State, used to be quite skeptical about the Foreign Service. But as time went on, he placed greater and greater confidence in them. And at the end of his term, he had all his key positions at the State Department were filled by career people. And he once commented, and I absolutely agree, is that Foreign Service people, just like career military officers, they are waiting to be led. And maybe Mike Pompeo now will take up that banner. Well,
we know Mike Pompeo, his background. He seems a lot more hawkish with respect to national security. Of course, we know he has a track record as an elected official. He's run the CIA. Explain how this may impact negotiations with China, negotiations with North Korea, and how we deal with the rest of the world.
Well, he may be a bit harder line, but he's also, I think, a realist. And having been head of the CIA for the past year plus or so, I think he's got a pretty clear-eyed view of the world. And he was also on the Intelligence Committee. So this is a man with prior government experience, both in the military, in the Congress, in the CIA, and now soon to be in the State Department. So I think he's got excellent preparation for the job, which I think is going to enable him to give clear assessments to the president about the ways in which we should conduct our diplomacy.